Hello, good morning, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. With me, your host, Aaron James, the channel that brings you your team every day. Look, guys, welcome back. I've had a little bit of time off. Just going through a bit of a difficult spell here. Few issues, just not been feeling great recently. But yeah, back now. Hopefully, staying back. Few doubts. But we'll get there. Anyway, we're going to talk rumours and rebuild. We're going to talk about the fact, obviously, that the manager situation. We're going to look at that. I want to look at players coming in, players going out. What's going to come up? Look, there's no game this weekend. Obviously, Rangers not in the Scottish Cup this weekend, which obviously it's not great, is it? I mean, look. You want to be competing on all fronts, don't you, until the end of the season. You don't want to be in a situation where you're out of the competition. And look, it's not great, is it? We're out of the competition. We're not in the quarterfinals. It really is. I mean, yesterday's quarterfinals, Hearts winning 3-1 against Dundee. A Dundee team pretty much in free fall in the league anyway, so not a great surprise there. Aberdeen beating Rangers conquers Queen's Park 4-1. I mean, that's pretty much what we should have done to them. It was 4-1 at Pittodrie. It realistically should have been 4-1 again. Celtic Hibernian today at 3. Obviously, come on Hibernian. And Livingston St Johnstone is tomorrow at 7:45 at a real snooze fest on a Monday night. But look, realistically, I'd love to see. I mean, look, Scottish Cup. Who do you want to win out of that lot? I mean, realistically, if I had to choose someone, I'd say I hope Hearts win it. Really do. I don't dislike Hearts. I don't hate Hearts. Got a couple of mates who are Hearts fans. Yeah, no strong feelings towards them at all. Khartoum scored twice. Murray own goal yesterday. I mean, come on, Hearts. Let's hope you win the Scottish Cup. Let's hope that those horrible so-and-sos from across the city don't win it and that you get the win. That'd be great if someone else won it, wouldn't it, if we can't win it. Right, look, managers. Look, where are we up to with managers? Obviously, Barry Ferguson, he's doing a very solid job, as manager of Rangers. He is obviously here on a temporary basis. I think, if he goes on and wins the Europa League, it gives the new 49ers owners and Andrew Kavanagh a very interesting kind of dilemma. Do they keep him and Neil McCann and Billy Dodds and Alan McGregor as the staff, or is this and was this always going to be a temporary basis? Now, look, I mean, I realistically think if we were to be successful, if we were to win the Europa League, I think it's highly doubtful. But if we were, let's just say, it becomes a real question, doesn't it? Does Barry keep the job? I mean, look, he's done a very good job so far. Yes, I know he lost that league game. But overall, he's done a very good job. He's got a very difficult job to do there. He's got a collection of players, some of whom know then that they're not going to be here beyond the end of the season and probably, have down tools and have given up to some extent. He's got other players who will raise their game in Europe, but yet not do it in the domestic competition. He's got some players that will try all the time, and fair play. I mean, look, I just don't really like the guy, but Cyril Dessers has really, worked hard. He gives his all in all the games, so fair play to him. But look, at the end of the day, it does give you an interesting dilemma. Under what circumstances would you accept Barry Ferguson as manager? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? Would you accept him if we win the Europa League, or would you accept him if we have a decent run, perhaps get to the semis, lose in the semis or lose in the quarters, and finish off the league season unbeaten? And also we beat them twice. Would you accept him as manager then? And does he even want it? I think he probably would want it. To be honest with you, he's a Rangers man after all, so. Also, are the owners, the new owners, would they be happy with that, or are they looking beyond that? That's the question. There's been two names overwhelmingly linked in recent times. Obviously, a bit of a clue on the screen as to who one of them is, and I think someone who would divide the fan base massively initially. But Barry Ferguson, for me, he's doing a good job. He's doing a solid job. Now, look. Whatever effect he is having is a short-term manager bounce, and long-term, will he be the right person for the job? I think his past history would say that he's not. But, as I've said previously, managing Kilty Hearts, managing Alloa is very different to managing Rangers. If you manage Rangers, you have the pick of the best players. You have some of the best players in Scotland. You're automatically going to finish second at minimum. You're automatically going to be competing. You're automatically going to have some decent players to work with. And sometimes, they say that some of the best players Some of the best players are, not great managers of lower league teams because they can't understand why the players they work with who are less able than them are not able to do what they were able to do. So why can they not spray a 40, 50 yard pass straight to someone's feet? Why can they not smash it top bins from 50 yards out or 30 yards out or whatever it is? They don't get it. They don't understand it, but when you come to work at a bigger club with better players, you kind of can get your message across a bit easier because the players you've got there can pretty much do what you did. So, there's that there. But, he hasn't done himself any harm. I mean, he certainly hasn't done himself any harm. And I'd be interested to kind of get a sort of feeling from you guys where we're up to with that one, because he's done well so far. He's done well. Yes, like I said, we did lose that game. But, overwhelmingly to go to Fenerbahce, to go to Istanbul and get a victory, yes, against a not great Fenerbahce team. But I still don't think that ties over by any stretch of the imagination. You can never write a Jose Mourinho team off. And I think, one of the most dangerous things would be to go into that game on Thursday night with a kind of sense that it's already done when it quite clearly isn't. So he's done a good job. He's done a good job. Now look, let me know your feelings. Let me know your feelings anyway on that one. Right, look, let's move it along a little bit, shall we? So let's talk about the candidates. Now, you see the familiar names linked all the time, don't you? The Derek McInneses, the Kjetil Knutsons, the Kevin Muscats, etc., etc. Now, look, I understand that, around this proposal, none of us really genuinely know what the intention of the new owners is because they haven't finished the takeover yet. We haven't heard Parag Marathe or we haven't heard Andrew Kavanagh speak yet. To the media, we haven't heard anything from them yet when it comes to this sort of managerial way of thinking, this managerial process that they're going to be quite clearly going through. And they're quite clearly, I think they would have already begun that. They'll be doing their due diligence on certain candidates. They'll be looking at certain candidates. They'll be looking at their past histories. They'll be looking at their ideas. I'm sure there'll be some kind of informal contacts between the new owners and whichever managers they're interested in. I'm sure that will have already begun. We won't be going into this process in the summer blind. It won't be just a case of shit, we've just taken over. What the hell do we do now? The two names that have come up recently in recent weeks has Rafa Benitez, the former Liverpool, Newcastle and Everton and Real Madrid manager, and Steven Gerrard, obviously the ex-Rangers manager, ex-El Ettifaq, ex-Aston Villa manager. Now, obviously, look, I want to get to Steven Gerrard in a minute, and look, I know that Steven Gerrard is someone who really does kind of divide the fan base. He really does, and I think, to be honest with you, there's a lot of very false narratives around the Steven Gerrard departure. I think there's a lot of very false narratives around Steven Gerrard as well. We'll get to those. We'll certainly get to those. But, Rafael Benitez, I mean, look, Benitez, hasn't done anything to kind of deny these links. He's admitted that he's aware of the Rangers links. He's certainly not coming out and saying that he would not be interested under any circumstances whatsoever. That's interesting, isn't it? That he isn't interested. He's not going to come out straight away and say, I'm not interested. I don't want the job. He's a very good manager. He's a very good tactical manager. He's very tactically aware. He said he was aware of the speculation, but that's as far as it kind of went. He didn't kind of take it any further. But look, at this stage, he's not going to. Benitez is a very professional man. He's a very, 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 very much switched on guy. He's been managed some of the top clubs in Europe. He's not going to come out and make any proper statements. The guy is a professional. He's the ultimate professional. Now, like I said, his managerial record, of who he's got, who he's been at, who he's managed is absolutely excellent. He's obviously was Valencia manager, where he won a league title with Valencia, where, it wasn't kind of the done thing in Spain. If you look at Spain, Barcelona and Real Madrid are the dominant features out there. Occasionally Atleti win a title, obviously because they've got a cracking manager, Diego Simeone. I mean, I think, personally speaking, I know it's absolutely never going to happen, but Diego Simeone would be a fantastic manager for Rangers. He really would. But Atleti obviously win the occasional title. So Valencia, it's not a sort of traditional thing that they do. So to win the title, get to a Champions League final with Valencia, a team that doesn't have a vast sum of money, is an excellent achievement for Benitez. He was Liverpool manager for 6 years. He's Inter Milan manager, Chelsea manager on an interim basis, Napoli manager, Madrid, Newcastle, Everton, Celta Vigo manager. So he's got a very vast CV. It's like I said, his win percentages at clubs, yes, they have kind of died off in recent times. But if you look at his time at Real Madrid, he had a 68% win percentage. And, this is looking at clubs that are reasonably kind of similar to us in terms of the dominance they have domestically. 68% at Real Madrid. Chelsea had a 58% win percentage, which is pretty decent considering he never ever he didn't get the gig, and never was really looked at. 55% at Liverpool, 54% win percentage at Valencia. So he's done an okay job wherever he's been. In terms of the guy's honours, what the guy's done in terms of what he's won as a manager, he was a player as well, just out of a matter of interest, just so that So at Valencia, he won 2 league titles. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal to win 2 league titles with, an unfancied team. A team that's not Barcelona, a team that's not Real Madrid, a team that's not Atletico Madrid. He won the UEFA Cup in 2003, 2004. So, pretty good. With Liverpool, he won the FA Cup. He won the Community Shield. He won the Champions League and was a runner-up in the Champions League. He won the UEFA Super Cup. He was the runner-up in the World Club Championships. He won the World Club Cup with Inter Milan. He won the Europa League with Chelsea. He won the Coppa Italia with Napoli. He won the Championship with Newcastle. He's won the best coach in La Liga. He's been UEFA Manager of the Year twice. He's got an LMA Special Merit Award. He's a very good manager. And I think one of the things about Benitez that kind of stands him out a little bit from the other candidates is his tactical genius. He is very much a tactically very aware manager. He's a manager who organises his teams, within an inch of their lives. He has a battle plan. He can scheme against some of the best teams in Europe, and I think that going forward, you've got to get a manager that been Rangers manager and looking at what the 49ers are probably hopeful for. This is a manager who can manage in the Champions League. I think the intention, obviously, of the owners is to get to the Champions League and to generate income through the Champions League. That seems to be, to me, what is coming out of this takeover. The fact they've seen Rangers as a kind of like an easy way into the Champions League for them, but. Less obviously Leeds less likely to be able to do that, given the strength of the English Premier League. But look, I mean, Benitez is a guy who can obviously manage at the highest level, can do it in the Champions League. He really can. He's a quality manager. So look, feasibly, that would be a good appointment. Your one concern as regards Rafael Benitez is, could he do it in Scotland? Now, I suppose the kind of the counter side to that is that he's done it in England. And yes, I know England is different to Scotland, but the speed, the physicality, the intensity is similar. Between the two countries. Whether you're playing Premier League football, Championship football, or Scottish Premier League football, there is, I think, across British football, a very similar sort of style. There is, I think, England and Scotland are very much unlike anything else in Europe in terms of the level of football, the type of football, the intensity, the battle, the fight that there is. And I haven't got any doubts in my mind that Benitez could adapt to that way of playing. I really do think he could do that. So I don't think the concerns over him managing in Scotland are valid. I really, really don't. Look, I mean, going forward, would he come? I think obviously wages would be a massive concern for me, because the guy obviously is someone who is used to earning big wages at the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Newcastle, the likes of Real Madrid, where he's obviously been very handsomely rewarded. It could be that maybe, you never know, he could see this as a way back into management, a way to manage in Europe, make an effect in Europe, and then perhaps go on to a different job. Get himself back into one of the other jobs around Europe, one of Europe's top 5 leagues. That could be how he looks at it. I don't know. I don't particularly like Rangers being used as a stepping stone, but it's kind of where Scotland is now in the pecking order. Now, the other candidate, obviously, that seems to be strongly linked, and it's been reported in a number of media sources this morning, is that Steven Gerrard is very highly fancied by the new owners. That is what is being rumoured. Now, how true that is, again, we take all of this with a pinch of salt. Of course we do. Because, look, none of us know for certain what the situation is with with the manager. We don't. But Gerrard seems to be a name that keeps coming up time and time again. Now, whether this is just lazy journalism because he's a former Rangers manager, he's done the job before, he won the league title, he won 55 here, and I think this whole COVID title crap it is a bit bollocks considering the league was shut down in March, after and a large part of the season had already taken place. So look, I mean, he is a good man. He is in Scotland. I mean, yes, he hasn't gone on to have success at Villa. He hasn't gone on to have success at El Ettifaq. But in terms of what he did at Rangers, he did very well. The seasons he was here, he came in, he implemented a playing style, he stuck to his guns, he progressed the team, he got the team to where he wanted it to be. And, even looking at, some of the top managers in Europe, looking at and I'm not saying that Gerrard is one of these, but, the Artetas, the Klopps, they took time to develop title-winning teams in their domestic leagues, whether it be Klopp at Liverpool, Arteta, obviously, may over time develop a title-winning team at Arsenal. So look, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. But look, I mean, Gerrard is someone who knows the league. He knows the club. He knows how to beat that lot. I mean, that's one positive from his record against Celtic is very, very good. He is a guy who knows how to go to Parkhead and win. He knows how to get the best out of the team. He knows how to get a team fit. He knows how to organise a team. And in the past, he did do a good job at Rangers. He won the league. And I think had Douglas Park backed him properly post 55, I don't think he would have walked when he did. I think he would have stayed for a bit longer. And I think, those of you saying, well, that's just stupid. Of course he'd leave to go to Villa. It's a Premier League club. Well, you've only got to look back at his history. In his career, he was at Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in world football. But, he was offered the opportunity to move to Real Madrid and he turned it down because he wanted to stay loyal to his club. And I think he is, on the whole, a guy who does stay loyal, a guy who does stick to his guns and stick to his team. So, look, I think, had post 55 there been some support for him there and some backing from the god-awful chairman, then, I do believe... he would have may have remained as Rangers manager for a little bit longer. I really do believe that. But look, that's up for debate. I think if he was to be reappointed, it would divide the fan base. And I think if he wasn't to have instant success, he would have people on his back very, very quickly. I think he would, but who knows? Who knows? But he does seem to be the two candidates, seem to be the top two candidates at this moment in time, seem to be Benitez and Gerrard. Both decent managers, both decent guys. I think I'll be happy with either, really, to be honest with you. In terms of players going in, players coming out, look, I think come the summer, we do need to look at the situation and really review this situation as looking at that squad of who needs to go and who needs to go, obviously be players leaving who are out of contract. At present, there's obviously no news about the Tom Lawrences of this world who's out of contract. I think he probably will depart. I hope he departs. Look, nothing against the lad, but I just don't think he's of a good enough standard anymore. Look, there's other players I think on that list that we need to look at perhaps moving on now. I mean, James Tavernier is one that I think we do need to look at moving out of the club. I think he's had his time. I think he does more harm than good these days. Cyril Dessers, I think, is another one that we need to look at selling. Yes, his goal record is fairly decent, but perhaps this is the time to sell him. If you're serious about a trading model that makes money out of players, if he scores say 25, 30 goals this season, at the age of 30, he ain't going to get any better. He's not going to improve. He's only going to start to decline over the next couple of years, and then his goal output will decline. Then you get into a situation where probably he's going to get out of contract. He's going to walk for nothing. We're going to make no money on him. Whereas I think this summer, if the guy does score goals towards the end of the season, scores in the Europa League, then hopefully that's something we can perhaps command a £5-6 million fee for and bring some money in on the player. That's how the trading model works. Now, those of you expecting the 49ers to come in and absolutely splash the cash, I think you're not really living in the real world. You've only got to look at how they're kind of working in the NFL at the moment. They've kind of started to cut back. There's a lot of concerns amongst the 49ers fan base that Jed York has kind of said, no more money, I'm cutting back, I'm not spending as much, cash on players. They've allowed players to be traded. They've allowed players to they're not renewing players. They're allowing players to leave. So I do think there was kind of a cutback there. I don't think they're going to come in and just suddenly say, there's 50-60 million, off you go, knock yourselves out. I think 20 million is the most I've heard. So there's still going to be a need, I think, to generate cash through selling players. And I think Dessers obviously is a candidate for that. There are others, obviously. Now, one of the players who has had a very mixed season. Yes, he had a good night the other night against Fenerbahce, and his saves were fantastic. It was Jack Butland, but at times this season he hasn't been the best. He has had some really not great performances, and according to reports in the media this morning, it's been spoken about that he will be his head's on the chopping block, that his position as Rangers number one is under review, and come the summer it may be a decision that's taken to sell him. So that's one that's up there now. Personally, look, I honestly think we'll go into the summer with a situation where, given the new owners, given the fact we're going to bring in a new manager, given the fact that Niels Koppelman will want to kind of continue this redevelopment of the squad that he's doing, with a very few kind of exceptions, there will be a number of players who will be, yes, we will sell them, and that there is going to be a for sale tag on quite a lot of these players, because you've got to kind of get to the process of, look, we've come this far, we haven't done anything, particularly in the last couple of seasons with a lot of these players, we haven't had a great season this season as well. It's time to move some of the players on. There comes a time, doesn't there, when, what's the saying, you either die as a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. There's quite a few players on the verge of becoming villains because of that. So, I think we've got to look at that in terms of, come this summer, there's a fair few that need to be moved out, of the club. There's a fair few that need to be moved on. And kind of a new fresh start taken with things in terms of the manager, in terms of the owners, in terms of where we go as a football club. Like I said, I think, I've kind of said, we've got players out on loan, Matondo, Sifu, hopefully they're sold, Dessers, Tavernier, obviously hopefully they're sold, Lawrence, another one, I think, another player. And people, can say, well, he's slagging Dessers again. No, I'm just saying that this is the time to think about selling a player that's going to kind of decline over the next couple of years. It's good football business. I mean, Butland, yes. Yilmaz, you'd listen to offers for him. Yes, he's a good footballer. Yes, I love Ridvan Yilmaz, top player, but he's injury prone. Proper, I think, is one that will go. Suter, we cannot sell Suter under any circumstances. He is just fantastic. Best defender in Scotland. Better than Carthorse Vickers. I will not have it any other way. You can argue all you want, but I'm not going to have it. Cortez, please, let's just not talk about Oscar Cortez. 4.5 million for the glass man. Barron, obviously knows that we won't be selling him. Dessers, let's sell him. Matt Diamonde, not time to sell him yet. Bayrami, I would listen to offers for. Václav Černý, now apparently his agent has come out and said that he will not be staying at Rangers and will be moving to a top European club. It's a bit of an insult to Rangers, but it does look like Černý will not be a Rangers player next season, according to his agent. And Ciala, we won't sell. Sterling, I wouldn't sell at this stage either. Finley Curtis, no. Danilo, no. Raskin, no, not at this stage. I think Hadji will go, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think he'll sign a new contract. Fernandez will go because he hasn't been given a chance. Hamza will remain, I think, for now. And Jefte will remain, I think, for now. But there's an awful lot there that do need to be moved on. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts, your opinions. It's going to be a really interesting, fascinating few months until the end of the season. And the summer is going to be a very busy one for the club. Right, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, on the way out, if you can do me some favours, smash the like, subscribe, comment and share. All that good stuff helps the channel. Thank you for watching. As always, please remember, we are the people.